What's happening, everybody? You already know we're here with another episode. As soon as Intel, you got Chris with a K. Horns Down podcast, Horns Down always. No strippers, no bunkies, no pole dancers, no none of that stuff, but we'll get to that later.
Why?
360 himself, Jason Watkins, obviously Hall of Fame college football podcast with the coach. Coach, if you're here, shout out to you. Anyways, guys, look, we got a fun episode. We got some things that we want to kind of get off of our chest. I think we're going to talk about Nagy tonight. Going to talk about the transfer. I mean, the new portal edition that we got in this wide receiver that I think is maybe a little bit under the radar right now. Talk some recruiting, stuff like that, per usual with Chris Mason, obviously. So with that being said, fellas, how you guys doing? It's been about a week, 2 weeks or so since we've been on. Didn't do a show last week, but we're back. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
I'm doing better than the Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator's son, who has to explain to his dad why he lost him $100,000 and nearly got him fired. So yeah.
FAFO, buddy. FAFO.
Well,
that's one ugly family dinner conversation right there, isn't it?
Thanksgiving is going to be real fun around that house.
With that said, let's go ahead and jump into the first topic. We are grading Jim Nagy on just kind of everything from getting here and to the portal to player retention to all of that. We will start with random. Let's see. Let's go with Jason. You're up.
All right. Yeah. So we kind of put the report card together on, impact additions, impact losses, and then player retention strategy. I got him low on the player retention strategy because I just don't understand what the last couple of weeks have seen. I mean, I talked to you guys about something. We didn't really talk about who the guy is, but you had another guy that they were screwing around with that money and the NIL stuff. And we're talking about deals that were signed in December. So I don't know how much of it has to do with just him. I think that everything we're hearing is that he's in charge of the roster. So, if we're going to do that kind of stuff, I think that would be the only thing that I would downgrade him on, is that I feel like maybe we were moving a little too quick on doing that kind of stuff. He doesn't mind spending money on transfers that we don't know, but I think you have to show some loyalty to the program or to the players that are in the program now a little bit more than what we saw the last couple of weeks with Stoney. And then, we had another player again last weekend. So again, and it's only a little, they did take care of both of them. So, I mean, but I think that it was just kind of clunky the way it went. You know what I mean? Didn't care for it. Impact additions, I'd say, aside from, I know everybody wants to tight end, so I gave him an A-, but impact losses, I don't think you really lost anybody that was going to contribute. Overall, I think that this is a good addition to the program. I think that he's got to feel his way around college football. I know we're adopting an NFL model. It's not NFL. It is the college game. So there are going to be some changes and stuff like that, and some things that are going to be just a little bit different. Now, I think overall, I'd give him a B, maybe even, I could probably bump it to a B+, because when you start looking at the addition of Jaden Ott, and then you got probably the best kicker in the country that was in the portal this weekend. They're both starters, bona fide starters. I think that and then when you went out there and you added the Stanford center as well, I like that. I like that move. You know what I mean? I think that they've added some important pieces to the puzzle that you thought the only one that they really didn't add would have been just that tight end. And he was trying to, he was out there and being aggressive and doing some of that stuff. So it excites me to where they're headed. I think Oklahoma's going to have a nice season this year, even though, they are playing a tough schedule. But I think that overall with quarterback, now you've got a good running back that was, he's been talking about him for 2 years, getting ready to scout him to go to the NFL. So with Jaden Ott, I think it's a huge addition. I've heard some people talk about maybe they could have added a little more on the offensive line, whatever. You also added a defensive lineman that could be another depth piece as well. I still think that, overall, I think it's you could maybe bump him up to a little more, but to me, that player retention stuff is just as important. And I think that it almost feels like we're forgetting as a fan base that this staff knows how to recruit. I mean, the talent's there already. It's been there, right? So, I think that if anything, I think it's a little clunky there in player retention. But aside from that, I mean, it's a pretty good report card for me.
All right, we're going to go to the next one. Obviously, Chris Mason, I think you're going to be up. So let me go ahead and load that in. Oh, there we go.
Okay. To me, impact, trying to say something different than Jason. To me, you've got two legit starters that really upgrade the position in terms of kicker and at running back. Ott is more established, a better playmaker, difference maker at running back than anybody we have on the roster. Although the young guys, I think, have a lot of potential. Ott's just much more proven. At kicker, I think, this is shoring up what, the Crimson Combine kicking was ugly. That's what from everybody said. So you add a kicker who they liked as much maybe as Mason Shipley, who went to Texas State. OU obviously preferred the UTSA guy Sandal over the kicker from Baylor or Coastal Carolina. So they're definitely able to get them. I love the fact that the efficacy in going after your targets seems to be increased. We seem to be getting guys on campus. We're making deals and getting guys signed. See Ott basically just the moment he could verbaling to OU out of nowhere. So I think that's, I give him an A on that. I think in terms of guys that he basically maybe cut loose might be strong, but I think OU hasn't really lost anybody. If I have to trade Ott for Sawchuk, I'll take Ott any day, at least in terms of production and capability and all that. So that's the only real issue there. Josh Isosa left, but I think once you had the Makula kid from Stanford, he was really third or fourth team center. So that's not a big loss in my opinion. And I'll echo some stuff from Jason as well on player retention. I just think Nagy's going to have to come up with a different way to compensate but develop. How do you handle that part of the business of college football when OU's recruiting good guys who may be highly ranked, and then maybe they don't hit the field for injury or development reasons, or upperclassmen ahead of them just play out, right? They don't have a chance to hit the field. How do you compensate correctly while guys are developing? And this isn't just an OU problem. This is going to be a problem for everyone if the House deal goes through and folks are all kind of dealing from the same pool of money. I'd like to see Nagy maybe preempt these problems by start the phrasing with freshmen about signing bonuses. Like, look, this part of this money is a signing bonus. Part of this is your base. Start getting these kind of conversations going with kids so they understand the next year, okay, part of that money was my signing bonus, and I should have put that away in the bank, done something with it, right? The rest of this money is my production money, right? So I think he needs to, and Oklahoma needs to. I think he is cleaning up a little bit of a mess that was given to him by OU not having professionals handling this from the start. I think OU was throwing some money around at the end of last year to keep kids and try and keep the talent drained to a minimum. I don't disagree. I understand that, but Nagy's cleaning up some stuff. It's just it's what I refer to as a sausage process. But I do think he needs just a little bit of long-term strategy thinking. How do I deal with a player? For an example, let's just take Michael Fasosi and Ryan Foje, right? Both unreal potential, right? Both probably received fairly high recruiting NIL dollars. But there's a chance if our upperclassmen are healthy and play really well that neither guy could start. I mean, that's and their contributions could be lesser than we think, right? If for some reason upperclassmen excel, which is a good thing, right? Those guys may not, their on the field impact could be lessened, but he needs to not have a David Stone problem happen again with these guys and handle that situation better. So I give him a B+, very close to an A-. If he'd signed a tight end, I think it'd be really close to an A-, and maybe just an A, really. I think if you had gotten Lance Mason instead. But as I understand it, Nagy did the job there. We did not lose Mason to NIL. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Moment we all been waiting for, right? Obviously, this is my report card. Gave him an A on the portal impact additions. Obviously, getting Ott, that was a huge addition to the running back room. For the most part, you went and got players where, we talk about competitive depth and everything, but you're talking about development as well. Obviously, there were some players that had already kind of sprinkled in before, they made it official with him, but at the same time, just the effect of having him on campus, you knew that you would be able to, go do some things. I think yesterday was a perfect and prime example of a kid that you can't necessarily judge off of just the numbers, because you hear stuff about, hey, the kid had, big games against the likes of A&M, or anytime he played bigger programs, he would always step up his production. I remember Angel Anthony came, and he was kind of an unknown. You knew that, kind of heard that he was fast, didn't necessarily know if he could put it all together because he hadn't been able to do that at Michigan. Injuries, just kind of being behind some guys, kind of got lost in the shuffle, but we saw how he blossomed. And I think the biggest thing is that not only do you trust Nagy's evaluation, but I think that with a good offense and a healthy offense, I think we all still trust Emmett Jones to get that wide receiver room, going. Impact losses, I thought he did, a good job of kind of lessening that effect. Hate to see Sawchuk go, but at the same time, you kind of understand just some of the stuff that's happening there. Player retention, look, I get it, the Stone stuff, that's probably what I would say, but I give it a B- simply because it wasn't necessarily anything that had to do with how he handled it or whatever case may be. It's just that, guys, we're in a position right now where until the house settlement and some other things happen, we're just in the land of unknown of how this stuff is going to happen. And some of these players, unforeseen circumstances outside that we won't talk about right here, but also just the simple fact of these players are trying to get as much as they can while the pot is still full and the pot is still full of sweets, right? So the whole thing is that I think that with these NFL guys coming in, I heard Mackey the other day, shout out to him and his guys, but I heard him say something that I thought was really interesting, how some of these NIL deals with these kids are starting to become multi-layered deals. But it seems to me that, some people are wanting these contracts to be fully guaranteed and all the rest of that. Well, with that comes the expectation of there are going to be some reality set in as far as what you're seeing with Nico and his brother potentially having to pay back portion of their NIL and all the rest of that stuff. So I think it's just an interesting dynamic that happened. And it's happened across the country. It's just not necessarily in the way that it's happened at Tennessee and the way that it was handled here in OU. But we've heard different rumors about a bunch of teams, some right next door to us in the state down south. But still, the thing is that this is college football and this is what it is. It is what it is. But overall, I give him an A-. I think the B- is the only thing that kind of keeps me from giving him just a solid A or A+. But I think he's came in and he sprinkled stuff in to give us serviceable players that could potentially play, and a chance to actually be able to be healthy this year, meaning that we have guys that like the Leiloa kid that came over, hey, didn't have all the production and stuff, but he's played with Dreiling before. They know the type of guy he is. The McNeese State kid, you can just go back, rewind a couple of minutes ago, you'll see exactly what I said about him. But overall, I think that he's came in, he's done a great job to me, given the circumstances as far as just being in the wild, wild west of what college football is today. But those are our report cards. Anything else to add to that, fellas?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that I don't think that this is us hating on Jim Nagy in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I think that he's been here 5 weeks, and we're not going to know what the real results of this are going to be until after we've seen, the season and how it plays out. You know what I mean? I think that, again, it's an adjustment period for everybody, including and especially Jim Nagy. He's got to come in and do. Yeah, we all think that it's a great hire. Just so everybody understands it, nobody's saying that it wasn't a great hire. I think that you have to know that. My opinion is I think he's got to take a step back and he said when he came in, you have to. The first thing he was going to do was evaluate the players that they have. I don't know how deep they got into that because, some of the things that we're hearing. And to me, I just didn't understand the Stoney stuff at all. So, I mean, if we knocked him anywhere, it's that. But you go out there and you get the guys that he picked up in the portal, I'm good. I mean, I think that he clearly knows what he's doing, evaluating talent in the portal. I think that he'll find his footing as far as the high school guys are concerned. I'm not too worried about all that, right?
Shout out to Stevie G real quick. He says this is also while Nagy is building his own scouting staff up. So this isn't even full focus Nagy on the portal. So I think that's a good point as well.
Right. And as far as counting it right, that 30 players lost. You got to remember how many of those guys were told to leave. It's just like anywhere else, and it's not like it's any different. How many new players does Texas have? 40 something.
Probably. You guys ready to roll into the to our QBs? Jason, you want to open that conversation up?
Can I just one quick comment? I did mention Jermichael Carter. I think that's a big addition. He has 3 years to play. So even if everybody comes back healthy, I think he could be a factor in 26 and 27. So there's a lot of skill and the talent there for Emmett Jones to develop if for some reason it doesn't click this year because the guys are healthy, right? When the guys and other guys have stepped up ahead of him. So
let's go ahead. Let's segue into that about that portal edition of Jermichael Carter from McNeese State that you pick up. 6'4", has the intangibles. Another tall wide receiver that you got. Look, guys, I having conversations with Unc about this whole ordeal. I said, hey man, one thing that this adds to you is the chance to actually have some good special teams as far as fielding some of these guys out there, throwing these guys out there, being able to give Peyton Bowen a chance to be like Billy, in which he could just focus on being the best version of himself out there at safety, right? With the kid from Arizona State that you picked up, and now this kid here, these are more guys that you can kind of throw into that return game as well. Not only just playing special teams, anyways, but kickoff and stuff like that. But these are guys that can actually be good in a return game. So just interested to hear you guys' thoughts about all of that. But Chris Mason, what are your thoughts about this kid coming in?
Well, it's one of those situations where if OU hadn't got this kid, I bet every big wide receiver would have gotten hurt, right? And we'd be proclaiming why we didn't pick up Carter. Now that we have Carter, it's like, he may have a limited impact because I think guys are going to be, guys will actually end up being healthy. It's just one of those, if you hadn't done this, we'd have been screwed. Now that we've done this, he may end up with some depth. He's a good kid. It's going to be hard for him to make an impact over the summer. But I think overall he flashes a lot. McNeese apparently they dropped the state a couple of years ago. I didn't realize that. So they're just going by McNeese. They run the ball predominantly, and the highlights I've been able to watch, his quarterbacks don't look very good. Not getting him the ball quite a bit. So I think it's a good addition. And if OU is suffers some injuries or lack of development from some other guys, I think he could rise up and be like a third or be the fourth wide receiver out of the group and give OU good depth and give you kind of, a 20, 30 catches, 500 yards kind of supplement.
He's a stud, man. He's a stud.
He's got potential. This is, a lot of folks wanted him, and this was a nice close by OU, convincing him that OU was the right development program for him. I mean, everyone's like, well, he's from McNeese. Well, guys, Giovanni Gibson was from Arkansas Pine Bluff and was dominating
the era of college football, folks,
and was dominating OU spring practice before he got hurt. Right?
Yeah,
he was the number one story before he got hurt. That's why that injury, was such a kick in the, kick in the nads there. So I like the pickup. It's a good pickup. I think it's what you needed, and in a wide receiver portal market where people were overpaying for guys with questionable skills and talents, OU kept their budget and I think added athletically a piece and a guy who has some. Like I said, if for some reason Giovanni comes back and Carter barely sees the field, Carter's got years to develop, so OU's covered.
Yeah. Jason, what are your thoughts?
I'm just kind of looking through some of this. I really like the receiver. I mean, everything that I've seen from him, he looks real good. I was watching some of his film earlier. So big size is what you're kind of looking for at the moment right now with having Giovanni out. You don't know yet if you're going to get Jaden Gibson back. So you're kind of hoping that that's going to work itself out as far as the size is concerned. And maybe he's going to be, one of those guys you can trust to go ahead and do his thing, you know what I mean? As far as on the edges and stuff like that, go up and get some 50-50 balls, because the other guys the guys that you're expecting something from at the moment are kind of your slot guys. So hopefully we get Giovanni back. Hopefully you get Jaden back, you know what I mean? And I think that it sounds like you got a good opportunity to do that. But in the end, I would just say, look, all the way around, I think that they're doing a really good job finding players that fit into the system, fit into what they're trying to do. And, the main thing is, I mean, you got to get out there and find guys that do. Yeah. And I mean, Juan, I get what you're saying. You're talking about diehard. This is new college football. This is not, you have to show some loyalty to the program, but the program needs to show some loyalty to you too. When it comes to Stoney, you got to be shitting me. This guy is a homeboy. He's from Oklahoma City. All he's ever wanted was to be at OU. You don't know exactly how that all went out, how that all played out. First off, he wants to be at Oklahoma. And I bet that's the kind of talk right there that you see these guys go somewhere else and they become an All-American and a first-round pick, and then you fucking hate them forever. And, but when they stay, you're talking shit. Still, it's just wild to me. But understand that there's a new era in college football, and you have to show some loyalty to the players too. I think that they're trying to balance what that means, what that looks like now. You know what I mean? I think they're trying to balance what that looks like, and so I like
without terra firma. It's there's no terra firma for them, right? Both for the players and and guys like Nagy trying to just figure stuff out, right? Like, okay. What am I doing? So
right,
yeah. It's not.
It's an adjustment period. It's an adjustment period, but you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say,
JJ Kitchen, our boy JJ.
Shout out to him. I was just going to segue into. We also got a kicker today. I mean, what are you guys thinking about that? Tate Sandell kid. Seems like there was a bunch of teams that were kind of vying for his commitment as well. So, Jason, what about you?
Man, I mean, he was the best in the country inside of 49 yards for, last year, 16 to 17. Pretty good stuff, and he wasn't really bad, the ones that he kicked. He had a 54-yarder as well. He's got a good leg, man. It looks like it's going to be good. It's a damn sight better than what they were looking at and what we were talking about after the Crimson Combine. So I know everybody's been concerned about it. Again, another one of those things you're like, whew, thank God. You know what I mean? You've had to figure they were going to go find somebody.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's a huge addition and upgrade in an area where if OU's defense and offense are keeping them in the games this year that we hope they're going to keep them in, if Sanders can bank points for you once you get inside the 40-yard line, or 35-yard line, something like that, 33-yard line, whatever. Obviously, 7 yards, go 7 yards backwards. If he can, you're taking less risks on fourth down, banking more points, which is helping your defense, making 1 possession games, 2 possession games close in the fourth quarter, which means opposing offenses have to press a little bit more with our attacking defense, and our Mason Thomas, and hopefully a secondary that's improved. The kicking thing, and he's also great at touchbacks.
Yeah, got a big leg.
Got a big leg. So that means touchbacks is a weird stat, because that helps your wear and tear on special teams. That helps reduces the chances of a big return. Look at the LSU game. That LSU game flipped on that big return, really.
It did.
So, that's an underappreciated part of this edition. But overall, I just feel like, you can't, this isn't the NFL. You can't just bring in 6 guys for tryouts if things suck week 3. So taking care of this problem, I think, was both Brent and Nagy saying, well, we have to bring in somebody that we trust. And, after we lost Mason Shipley, it was ironic that Sanders jumped in the portal and was in Norman the next day.
Where is what's our punting game looking like this year?
I can only go by what my source told me, and my source told me that the Kennesaw State punter, the 6'6" kid, looked great.
Okay.
I've heard nothing to the contrary. That guy knows what he's doing. Got a big leg. He can punt. He really knows what he's doing. And notice OU did not go into the portal looking for punting help.
Would love to see some hang time out there, but no, I think
Alzinga is, has a chance, I think, at some point to be an NFL punter. Breaking into that is incredibly difficult because, obviously Tress Way's still punting, and what is he, 36 right now, 38? I mean, Tress Way's not a young man, right? He can't be. So
I just to jump in there, but I would say that I think that the addition of the the kicker, that's really important, simply because there were a bunch of games last year, despite how the season went. There were a bunch of games where OU was in there. It is deep into the game. They're able to move the ball, but they stall. Obviously, we stalled a lot last year, but being able to get a field goal here and there just could switch the momentum like that. That's what, like the Auburn game, as many field goals as that kicker missed, that kept us in the game a whole bunch, to the point where we were able to make a serious dent, make a serious comeback, and we eventually won that game. But these are things that have to be automatic, because those are things that keep going. One of the things I'm excited about with the offense is just this year is just I believe that in my heart of hearts that we're going to be able to get up and down the field. I think that was where the fun kind of just really went away from me last year, was that the offense just was not fun. It was just week to week was like, okay, how can we piecemeal this win together? And then it seemed like for all the testy battles that we had, everything really just came together in that Alabama game, where it was perfect and it all lined up. But outside of that, it just still was a struggle, everywhere else, just to feel like, okay, it just got to the point where you knew that if a team got over at least 17 points, that was going to be a very difficult win. Well, a way for us to win, right? So just one of those things where I'm just excited about seeing good football on the offensive side. Defensive side, I think that you're going to be great. I think you got a chance to be great. I won't put that elite level on there. I say bad, good, great, and elite. So I'm not going to put elite on there. I think you can have an elite defensive line, but as far as a total defense, still got to see that. But no, I'm happy with the portal additions. I think you went out there and got guys that not only can come in here and make a huge splash, but guys also that can complement your roster, meaning that if somebody goes down in production, doesn't necessarily take a huge dip, guys that are serviceable. Biggest thing that you want to hear about some of these wide receivers is just who's going to be able to create separation. I think it's been a minute since we've had a couple of wide receivers that could really truly create separation that were on the field together since maybe CD and Hollywood, right? But the thing again, Arbuckle's offense, that's what you're excited to see.
Yeah.
How seeing guys open, how is he going to cater to the personnel that he has? So I think that's definitely something to look at. Guys, you got anything else to add, or you want to move on to the quarterback ratings?
One last thing about the wide receiver, the whole draft, thing going on. Kyle Williams went third round? The guy from Wazoo. And when you watch those highlights and Mateer slinging the ball to him, I have a hard time imagining that a healthy Deion Burks isn't just going to eat all season long. I mean, you watch Williams, the way he plays, and you watch what we got out of Burks, and it's hard not to see that comp and say, I think, with a big receiver on the outside, I think Satania and Burks are going to eat a lot.
Indeed. I think it's I think it was another good pickup, a really good pickup, and I think he wasn't even the only SEC school that was after him. So there was a lot of people that were looking to try to pick him up. It was a good move, and it gives you that depth. So that if you don't get Giovanni Gibson back, early, you've got somebody that it provides you another weapon there, and I still think that the hope is that you get Giovanni back, man. That's we've seen so much really good stuff out of him, so hopefully he does. But I think that it never hurts to have another big pass catcher.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to our next segment, which is going to be pretty much the top 10 quarterbacks in college football. Jason, we'll let you lead this again. Go ahead and open this up. Why was this a point of conversation that you wanted to have?
Well, it was brought up a little earlier, but I was thinking you should probably send me last since I was different than you guys. But I think that a lot of guys, I think that there's a lot of damn good quarterbacks around the country. I think that Mateer coming in, I mean, he called a homer pick. I was, more than anything else. I think that he's going to come in and show leadership that we didn't have last year at Oklahoma. I think Garrett Nussmeier could easily be number one. I think, it's 1A, 1B. You're going to kind of wait and see how it all pans out. But I think that a lot of people are realizing this is a guy that had nearly 5,000 yards overall last year. You know what I mean? Or what, 4,500 anyway. Huge year. I don't care what league you're playing in. When you do that, you're, putting up numbers. He didn't have a ton of turnovers. That 44 touchdowns. What was it? 10 turnovers, I think it was. And it was his first year as a starter. This is his third year in the system. I think that he's going to cook. His third year in the system, I think he's going to cook. So love it that, you were just talking about what, Kyle Williams going in the third round. There's no way you look at that guy and think, yeah, he's as good as some of the talent that they have at Oklahoma. So I think you add in guys like Jaden. I think that this could be a really good offense. And I think it's going to take, really good quarterback play for Oklahoma to move, back to where they expect to be. So, I like where he's at. Nussmeier, I think that he's a really good thrower of the football. I think that he's, smart guy as well. He's been in the system. This is his fourth year at LSU. And I know the system changed a little bit whenever they, Dan Brock went to Notre Dame, but not much. It didn't do much. So I think that they're going to be pretty good. And man, they've always got receivers there at LSU. Obviously, they added Nick Anderson, and the guy from Kentucky, I always forget his name, but he's a stud too. I do think that in the end they're gonna be really good this year. I think a lot of it is going to depend on their defense on how far they go, but I think that it's not going to be a Garrett Nussmeier problem at all. DJ Lagway, you just saw what he did as even being hurt last year. Once they lost their starting quarterback, that he came in and played very well injured. Had he not gone out of the Georgia game, chances are they win the game. They were ahead, and they looked like they had a lot of momentum. He was playing well, and then he goes out. So I think that he's gonna have a really good second season if he is healthy enough to do so. Arch Manning, I don't know. That's just a guess. It's just a guess on what he does. I think he's going to be a really good player. That's all there's. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, because fuck Texas, but I think he's going to be a really good player. Kate Klubnik, I think you started seeing him come around. I didn't see the next one on the list, though, on either one of you guys' lists, but Avery Johnson's a baller, man. That guy's a baller. He can throw it, he can run it, and they're going to have a better play caller, I think, for him this year, too, with Matt taking over the play calling duties at K-State. So I like his opportunity to kind of get
that's a good I forgot that name. That's an interesting. I'll be interested to see what he looks like based upon all the stuff you're saying. I mean, he could have a breakthrough year.
Yeah, I think he will. And I mean, again, I think that there was times last year that he didn't necessarily have his best games. They lost that game. Didn't they lose down at Houston or something like that towards the end of the season that took them out of contention for that championship game?
They were a little all over the place second half of the season, weren't they?
They were a bit. But everything that you hear from all the K-State people that we know, like, we listen to Tim Fitzgerald quite a bit. I mean, love his show. Shout out to him. And he talked about it that they really needed to kind of move. And then Neilio was always in here talking about the same thing. They needed to have, a better play call. The game plan it seemed real clunky with him calling the plays, right? So it was just kind of a weird deal. But I think that he's a good player, man. I really do. I like Sam Levitt a lot too. And I think people have forgotten about Jalen Daniels. The second half of the year, he looked really good. They started off like shit. But I think that a lot of that had to do with the fact that Kotelnicki left and went to Penn State. And that changed things up quite a bit. You know what I mean? And so the second half of the year, I mean, they beat Colorado at the end of the year. They beat a lot of teams at the end of the year, actually. So they started looking really good. I think Jalen Daniels is a stud, straight up stud. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country without a doubt. He's got to be in my top 10. I like Lenore Sellers a lot. Austin Simmons is kind of a throw-in. I certainly I wasn't going to add some, I'll let you guys talk about the Baylor kid, but I just don't know that I necessarily see it. You know what I mean? We've seen kind of one-hit wonders go on at Baylor the last few years, and then they kind of fall apart after that. So we'll see. Austin Simmons looks really good, what we've seen of him. So working with Lane, it wouldn't surprise me.
Small sample, but yeah.
Definitely a small sample.
Yeah. It's an interesting pick. So I thought Jalen Daniels was out of eligibility. I don't know why I thought that. I thought he should have been.
These days, there's no such thing as out of eligibility, is there?
Apparently not.
Even kids just going to regular college, hell, they the same age. They're graduating at the same age as a BYU player going on a mission trip.
Tyler Shock just got drafted at nearly 26. So, you're right. Daniels is interesting. If they can from the hop have a good, from the hop be hitting it. That's an interesting pick. You made some interesting picks there, Jason.
Oh, well, thank you. Interesting enough. Let's see you guys.
All right. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take this and go ahead and say I'm next. People, what's good? You know what I'm saying? Let's do this. Let's do this. I am the resident expert of being able to pick out bums. So let's go ahead and say this right here. Number 10, Sawyer Robinson. I was in a rush. I was doing some stuff trying to help my kid out. He's there by default, people. Okay, let's be.
I told you I didn't. That's why I said I didn't pick him in there.
Let's have an honest moment. I wanted to put Arch higher on this list just because I know what Sark is going to be able to do for him and some of the weapons he's going to be able to surround him with. And then not only that, but just being able to use his legs, which is going to be an interesting dynamic in that offense with Sark. So Texas fans, I wanted to put Arch higher, but I did it just so I can piss off Bevo's bodyguard. Not Big G, because Big G is my Texas brethren, but Bevo is in here spitting that trash, and I'm spitting gospel. Let's keep moving up the list, people. Georgia King, okay? That dude right there, out of everybody on this list right now, even John Mateer, and I love John Mateer, but I would say Haynes King, he gets the dog. He gets the dog stars by his name simply because That kid has a huge pair, gets hit, gets knocked on the ground, keeps getting back up, and keeps giving it to the defense. Sam Levitt, the only reason why I have him at 7 is simply because of this right here. I watched him against Texas, and I would say this. The only reason why he has success in the second half against Texas is because Texas took their foot off of the gas. If you watch the first half, he had a hard time getting the ball 10 yards across the damn field. Even when he was able to connect on passes or whatever, wasn't able to, finish, right? But that's kind of where we're at.
Talking about Levitt?
Go ahead.
You're talking about Levitt?
Oh, yeah, my Levitt.
Yeah.
Drew Aller, he's kind of stuck at 6 simply because he just is what it is. Like, he's a really good college quarterback. Boy, does he necessarily, as our friend Ty Hayes would say, does he move the needle for you? I'm not sure that he does. Cade Klubnik at 5, you could kind of switch those two simply because it's just one's hot, one's cold. I mean, it's a whole Katy Perry thing going on with both of those guys. I think Cade Klubnik could see himself rise a little bit and do some things this year, being in that system and all the rest of that. And, well, they went out there. Did they get a new OC again, or was it? No, I got a new DC. Excuse me. You'll be eager to see what he could do. Hopefully, they went out there and got him some more talent to surround him with. I think that the Antonio, Williams, and then the other kid, the Westco, or however you say his name,
it's Westco, Bryant Westco.
So he's got 2 guys, but hopefully they can get some more production on that side of the ball for him and get him right. Lenore Sellers, I had to move him up just because I like Lenore Sellers, and I think this may be a year. This is an important season for him to be able to showcase that he can pass, that he's accurate, that he can do more than just kind of play that Cam Newton role. Honestly, I think the guy he could be special this year. He's the guy that can really take South Carolina to the next level. But what you're asking from him is be consistent throughout the year. There's no reason that you guys should be struggling with Kennesaw State in the first game and then going to play a hell of a game against Alabama and blowing this team out and beating this team. You're going to have a hell of a defense. You should be able to have another good defense this year. So kind of on you to do what you do. 3, John Mateer, Oklahoma. I think the proof is set and put. I think all you got to do is just put on the highlights. You see the stats. You see all the rest of those things. The kid has a lot of moxie. I think that the kid will translate to this level. And the thing is, guys, just like I talked about with Arch down there, I think Arbuckle is going to be able to figure some things out. And one of the things I think a lot of people are discounting on him, I say a lot of people, if they have any fears about this kid, we've seen Arbuckle and John Mateer do more with less. We've never seen them do it with, hey, we got some guys around you right now. We got some guys. So let's see. Benji with the super.
Hey, that's a fair statement, man.
Fair statement. We'll get to that. Let's get through places here in a second. DJ Lagway, I think off of this list right here, I think that, and guys, don't crucify me. I think DJ Lagway may probably have the most upside of any quarterback on here. I mean, the guy last year, I think
that's a big stretch
into the season.
It's with him, it's health. That's all I'm worried about.
That too. But I came into the season saying last year, I was like, hey, look, if I'm Brent, if I'm Billy, this and that, blah, 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 like these guys have to play. They got to do this. They got to do that. You guys heard me on all sorts of channels, Round Table Sports. You heard me on the Texas channels. You heard SEC Connect. You heard it here. You heard it everywhere. Jason's podcast, Student Street. You heard it everywhere. I kept saying, play DJ Lagway. Why are we playing around with Graham Mertz? It's not going to get you anywhere. It's going to get you to another 6-win season. And you saw when DJ Lagway was in there, he was the boost that they needed. He played some really good football down the stretch. Florida played some really good football at the end of the year. I think Florida has a chance to be better this year. If healthy, he will be a top 3 quarterback in the SEC this year. I really feel that way. Then you got Garrett Nussmeier at 1. I think you kind of just pencil him in simply because he's been in that system forever. I think Brian Kelly and company will figure out how to get more production in the areas that they need. They've been really inconsistent these past couple of years with some really good teams and some really good players on both sides of the ball. It's just one of those things where can it all come together finally, right? Gus Meyer is one of those kids who's very gritty. I think that he comes from a good pedigree. I think that he has all the intangibles to be a top 2, top 3 quarterback in the SEC. Not only that, but in the nation as well. But, just kind of got to see. But you gave me 10. You told me to give you 10 quarterbacks. I gave you 10 quarterbacks. Actually, I gave you 9 because the Baylor kid is just there by default. But that's me, people. So let's keep it moving. Chris Mason, you are coming up in 3, 2, 1. There you go, sir.
I got Arch at number 10. I'm a little worried about Texas's offensive line based upon some of the stuff you've been hearing out of spring. Obviously, Nick Brooks was apparently their best young player, and his eligibility seems a little questionable right now. So I think that's where I have Arch number 10. I'm a little worried about their O-line, and they're just grabbing wide receivers left and right from the portal. It just seems like they threw a bunch of money at the tight end. It just seems like maybe Texas's whole development thing isn't quite going right around Arch. Sure, Arch is going to do okay, but if the O-line's struggling and his targets are struggling, we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. They got
a brand new offensive line.
They've got a lot of there's a lot of questions more than just Arch on that Texas offense. They lost a lot of guys to the NFL, right?
Yeah.
So,
but they just reload in Austin,
Well, everybody, not even Bama and Georgia are reloading any longer. So no one's capable of just reloading. Robertson, I'm going to give credit for because he saved Aranda's job. They went on a 6-game winning streak. His stats are pretty good. That's an offense where he's going to throw the ball a lot. I think the Big 12's a grab bag this year. So Baylor could win. There are 8 teams in the Big 12 that could probably win the Big 12 this year. It's a complete grab bag. Complete. Haynes King should have beat Georgia last year. That guy's a freaking warrior. That offensive scheme is a good fit. I'm in Atlanta. I see a lot of Georgia Tech stuff, so that's why I got Haynes King in there. He's been in college forever, but he's a good guy. If he'd hit the portal, there'd have been a lot of teams that would have tried to grab him. Notre Dame, for one, probably Ohio State. A lot of programs that have tried to grab him. Lenore Sellers, he's got all the physical gifts. Can he put it all together? Can Beamer really develop quarterbacks? That's a question I think that's really out there. They've got really good talent, but they're losing some guys to the portal, some high talent guys. It's South Carolina seems like they're on the verge. I'm just not sure that Sellers.
Every time they seem like they're on the verge, though, what happens?
They've collapsed.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. So that's
I don't
why
think Lenore is a great passer. Is what concerns me about him.
Yeah, and at some point, do you want? I know he's a big guy, but he got hurt last year. So
yep.
Drew Aller is there because I love Colton Ecke. They've got good running backs. They just picked up the Pena kid from Syracuse. They always seem to have great tight ends. So Aller should finally have some weapons and be better in that offensive scheme than the guy who really looked not very good in the playoffs. Sam Levitt, I like Arizona State where they're going. They picked up some good guys in the portal, so I think he's got some weapons around him. He may have to be more of a factor since everyone's favorite running back is now with the Giants, Mr. Scatterbo. So that's why I have Sam Levitt there. He's proved it. My only going on potential pick is DJ Lagway, right? He's got all the physical skills. I don't love the fact that he didn't really throw much this spring. If he's healthy, I think he blows up. I think we're all of the opinion of that. But that's poised to happen. If he's healthy, he'll go. Klubnik seems to have clicked with the younger Riley. That offense seems to be moving in the right direction. He's been there forever, so this is the year to finally put it all together. I got Mateer at number 2 just because, you just added Jay Knott, so he's now got the number 1 portal running back next to him and a top 5 running back nationally. If Ott's healthy, he's a day 2 NFL draft pick probably. So you've got running backs, OU's loaded up with wide receivers. The offensive line is in so much better shape. Offensive coordinator fit seems to be great. Mateer knows that guy. There's no questions there. So I think Mateer's poised for a big year. Like I said, I'm watching Kyle Williams, and I'm just thinking, who had 1,200 yards and is now a third-round pick. I have no reason. I'm looking at that. If he's healthy, Deion Burke should have a season like that, right? There are weapons for Mateer all over the place. The only fear would be he gets hurt running the ball too much against some SEC D-lines. Goes a little too much bravado that way. Nussmeier just has the NFL arm, right? I mean, the only team that really made the OU defense look ordinary this year was Nussmeier. After that ankle injury, he came back in and threw some just stupid footballs to elite guys. And LSU always has elite guys. They just grow on. They just come out of the swamp fully formed as elite wide receivers somehow out of the bayou. So to me, he's got the arm, he's got the build. I'm stunned he didn't go pro last year. I think hopefully our secondary is a little deeper and in a little better shape the next time we meet him. And our offense is in a position to take advantage of LSU's defensive issues, which I'm not sure. They've been portal shopping again heavily on defense, so I'm not sure those issues are resolved either. And hopefully, Nick Anderson and Barra Sharp are dropping some passes, and in Norman in late November, we're not having the usual ex-Sooners show up and play the game of his life bullshit that we've been dealing with the last 3 or 4 years lately. So that's my list. I think the only guy sort of off the list that is going to be interesting, obviously, what does Ty Simpson do at Bama? What does Julian Sayin do at Ohio State? Lots of talent around them. Sayin's got, just an unbelievable, has Smith at wide receiver. That's going to make his life a lot easier. And, and if it is Ty Simpson, he's got Ryan Williams. That's going to make anybody's life easier at wide receiver. So those are two guys who are interesting, who I think jump into this list, depending upon what kind of seasons they have. I didn't have Carson Beck in there. I think the guy's a bum. He's already broken up with the Cavender twin and got his Lamborghini towed on South Beach. So he's off to a great off season.
Plus his arms like dangling still, I think.
So and the guy just, I don't know. There's something off about him. I just think he's a loser.
Probably a Snapchat. Anyways, Little Coop says y'all don't say anything about Georgia, Ohio State, and Bama though. And he just did. Chris Mason just did. Look, Texas fans. Look. Check this out.
They're clowns, dude. Why are y'all here? Why are you here?
Not even that. I'm like, if you gonna dish it out, you gotta be able to take it too.
No, I mean they want to talk all this smack though. I mean, what you're worried about what we're saying. What the hell do you expect Oklahoma fans to say? And point out the lie. Point out the lies we're telling. Point them out.
Hey, we had Arch on the list. Trust.
And he's played one game.
Nah, okay, I got y'all.
Goated got it. Goated got it.
Yeah, I mean, again, Georgia's quarterback is
the brand has finally returned. Fuck your brand.
I mean, Georgia's guy he's limited, and he still has Mike Bobo coaching him. This is a problem. And Georgia's wide receiver room is a mess. Still is a mess. That best young wide receiver drove himself to Purdue after going too fast, too furious through downtown Athens. Could Ohio State and Alabama, could those two guys have top 10 years? No doubt they could easily be in any top 10 list. But we have not seen either one of those guys throw any footballs anywhere to any meaningful degree. And maybe they will be great. They could also be Jackson Arnold. And we know what that means. Whereas they're surrounded by a good scheme, but they're turnover prone and they're too slow decision making. So
and scared to death.
If I could jump in here, I just want to do a little sidebar real quick. Just a sidebar. If I had 3 wishes for week 1, okay, I think the first wish would be obviously OU goes out there and kills Illinois State, and they look great doing it. Not like we did against Temple last year to open up. I think second wish would be no injuries, just straight up demolition. Do what you need to do, get it out of there, and get ready for Michigan the following week. And I think the third wish, and I think my Texas brethren in here would agree with me, I wish that Fox would put that Ohio State and Texas game at night, opposed to doing a big noon kickoff.
Sorry, Chris. ABC ESPN has that game.
Oh, are you sure?
It's in Columbus, right? The road rules still apply.
Okay.
Am I not wrong? Not out of conference games. Go to the away team's TV package.
Yeah, it'd be Fox then. Oh, I'm not sure. I thought
that game's in the shoe, so it would be SEC would own the rights to that game.
That's interesting. Okay.
Am I wrong? If I'm wrong on that, I completely.
You're wrong. Fox has got it. Fox,
you sure?
Fox.
Yeah. All right. My bad.
Because that, when they played who was the team that they played somebody else. They played Michigan last year, and that was a big game, and that wasn't a night game. That was a big noon kickoff. I just think that just for college football fans, Texas fans for sure deserve to be able to go down there to that atmosphere. It's gonna be an electric atmosphere anyways, but to go down there and play at night in the shoe, I think that would be. It would
be awesome. It would be awesome, but they don't do that on Fox. That's all their big noon shit.
Yeah. So yeah, again, I think my Texas fans in here, I think they would agree. Like, hey, we would love for that to be a night game, be the game, instead of having to watch Notre Dame versus Miami. Like I just, those two games to me, I think that there's a lot of stories because you're trying to figure out, is Arch Manning, can he confirm what people think that he could be? Is Julian saying the answer? Will we have to see the St. Clair kid? Does Ohio State take a step forward? They stay the same place that they were at last year, or do they take a step back? I think there's a lot of narratives, a lot of stories there with that game. So if I had 3 wishes, that would be one of them, that game would be a night game opposed to the penciled in 6:30 game that you would have with Notre Dame and Miami. So that's just kind of where I'm at.
Can I have my 3 wishes?
Go ahead.
First wish, OU's offensive performance against Illinois State has the adjective explosive around it. There are big chunk plays schemed by Ben Arbuckle left and right. That Mateer's eating a hot dog by the third quarter, and Mike Hawkins Jr., when he's in there, he looks pretty damn good too. Yep. That's wish 1. Wish 2, Ohio State beats Texas. Screw Texas. I don't care. Whatever. They have a weak-ass SEC conference schedule. Screw them. And wish 3, you said Notre Dame's playing Miami?
Yeah.
Blimp accident.
Oh, you just want Coach to come at you next time he sees you. Oh. Yeah.
Look, the Irish have had enough of this good feelings for Notre Dame. They stole our play like a champion stuff. This Rudy bullshit is all over. I like their coach, but I can only go so far in this Notre Dame love. It's back to hating the Irish.
Yeah, well, there's a reason to hate them. They're one of the favorites to win the whole damn thing. So
exactly. So
I agree with you. I agree with you on that part. I agree with you there.
I wouldn't say, if they weren't playing Miami, I wouldn't say blimp accident.
Yeah, fuck Miami too. Yeah, but
exactly.
But as far as I like to wish 2 the most.
And call your team trash, because that's what they are.
Fuck Texas.
All right.
Yeah, but
back.
Good
programming.
Back to the original pro. I don't know. I have 3 wishes. I like those wishes. I think for sure I'm excited to see what this offense is going to do, but I'm just as excited to see this defense step forward and just mash on some of these new first-year quarterbacks. 6 out of 8 that you're going to play in the SEC are first-year quarterbacks. You know, the first-year starters. It's going to be awesome. I love what they have along that defensive line. I think it's the best defensive line in the country. I don't know that it's particularly close, and I think they're going to eat this year. So it's going to be fun. But I'm not going to give you 3 wishes just yet. I like that whole thing, but yeah, go ahead.
We'll do that. We'll do that. Season starts. Hey, jump in here real quick. House Money Productions. He says, "I'm looking at OU's third down conversion rate. If we can hit between 48% or higher, we might do something this year." I agree with that.
That's a good number. That's a good number. You got to be. That's one of those numbers that if you're anywhere close to 50%, that equals wins almost all the time.
I hate to ask, what was our rate last year? 5?
Oh, well, I mean, I know that the Texas game, they had 9 straight 3-and-outs. 9 straight.
Can you have a negative number in this rate?
Possibly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me check here real quick.
Why Bevo's bodyguard? What an ass clown. He's stupid.
All right. So ours was 37%. That seems way too high. But it's right. That's what it is. That seems way too high. Maybe the main game is throwing everything off.
The Temple game was 1 of 11 on third down.
Somehow we were 73 of 195. Did we punt on third down a lot?
House Money putting the numbers in here tonight. The stats. We went 1 of 14.
He's not wrong. It's and that number is traditionally an important number for offenses.
All right, let me see what it was in 2023. All right, when we
shout out to House Money. I like it. Sharp shooter.
Roll Tide. Who's your
Tide?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
We were 50% in fourth down conversions. That's just crazy.
Well, yeah.
We're
definitely much better on fourth down than third.
In 2023, we were 49.2%.
10-2.
There you go. The stat don't lie.
Yeah.
It's like quarterback rating. Get me in the 160s every week. Be around 160.
Yeah. And somewhere up there.
And that number, and we're fine. 170 is the goal, but anything around in the 160s, I'll take.
Hey, Unc, real quick. Bro, I know you did not come into my chat the other day and tell me that you liked Dylan Gabriel more than Shedeur Sanders, bro. I mean, come on, Unc. Come on, Unc. We all know you well. Come on, man.
That's
oh my God. I was trying not to just lose it. I was laughing so hard at that. I was like, no way he said that. And then he didn't say shit else. It was great.
We've been on here for 1 hour and 3 minutes. We're going to end tonight with some recruiting. Chris Mason, obviously the portal is done. Unless there's a tight end that you know is out there that we could go and get, possibly. But
you know who is the number 1 ranked tight end in the portal according to On3?
Mitchell?
That is correct. Apparently, the Louisville, I heard this from Scoop, the Louisville trip went badly. Or is going badly. He may be at McNeese next year or something. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. So anyway, all right. Well, let me give you a couple of things I've said before and just repeat them. Number 1, you're going to see new offers going out at key positions because Nagy and staff are hitting film, and we're already starting to see that. Number 2, don't expect OU to hit their usual 20 number by 9-1. OU feels like they're going to bet on their season, try and flip some higher rated targets. So look at them to maybe have 5 or 6 spots to play with in the fall. And if OU's doing well, watch OU circle back to some big-time targets and try and get those guys in for official visits. Nagy wants to see some senior film before investing in some prospects. So watch out for OU to jump back into contention from an NIL standpoint on several players this fall if they look great on film. Also, Nagy has the money to compete for guys he thinks are elite difference makers. Wasn't given any names, but I'm projecting the name OU is going to go to the mattresses with Texas on Felix Ojo, because we all know what elite left tackles go for in the NFL. We all just watched it in the draft. We all know that Nagy pays a lot of attention to O-line. You notice him and Bill are very much in some – he's pumping up Bill big time on social media, if you've noticed. He was right before the draft, and he's obviously helped OU get the Stanford kid based upon a lot of that. So Nagy will spend on left tackles. The best left tackle OU's recruiting is Felix Ojo. Everyone has him going to Texas. Felix Ojo is not a Bond villain, although that's pretty good. That's pretty funny. I'll give you that, Neilio. That's pretty
Nice
good.
shot, Neilio.
Nice,
Well played.
Well played. The 7 o'clock show is the same as the 9 o'clock show. Please order the prime rib. Ojo's not going to Tech. He's not going there. Did you read his comment about Texas Tech? It was priceless. He said something along the lines of, "Man, Texas Tech football is just so impressive. It's just a shame no one ever sees it." That's a paraphrase, but that's pretty much what he said. If you want me to find the direct quote, I will. It was hysterical.
Apparently, Andy Staples is watching a shit ton of it.
They Tech just went nuts in the portal, man. They added guys left and right. We'll see if it all works. We'll see. I'm not sure that high school coach they brought in can make all this portal stuff work. So that's some general themes, some bigger themes. Basically, OU went on an offer binge over this week at cornerback for 2027. Jay Valai offered 7 guys, including 4 of the top 5 cornerbacks in the country. A lot of Cali guys. OU offered a defensive end from Atlanta. Well, he's in Roswell. We'll call it Atlanta. David Jacobs. He's a 5-star, ranked as the number 3 player in the nation. OU went ahead and offered his younger brother, too. 2028 kid, Dawson Jacobs. He's 6'4", 240 as well. So OU making sure to offer the younger brother of the number 3 player in the nation. Not exactly okay. I'm not sure how OU's going to get any of these guys, but they made a lot of offers, and they're all over the Vi's all over the country. Coach Hall was visiting Celeste Moa, the 5-star safety from Utah. OU should get an official visit. Coach Bates was in Virginia visiting Valdon Sone, the massive nose guard from Europe, who's now attending school in the U.S. He's a top 50 player, depending upon which ranking service you look at. And OU also has gotten a official visit confirmed from Jake Krull, the big defensive end from IMG that they love. They're getting the last shot at him on June 20th. He's going to Texas, Ohio State, and a couple of places before he gets to Norman. OU is maybe in the lead there. I like getting the last visit, maybe locking him down. And then OU recently got a visit from, and I got to pull up his name because I forget it every time. Where is he? I got to find him. He's from Florida, 4-star linebacker. Really love this guy on tape. He is excellent. Maybe should be like in the top 100 range. He's from Florida. He used to live in Oklahoma, and I'm struggling to pull his name up because I wasn't prepared to talk about him. His name is Ali Bag. All right, let's see if 247 has their visits synced up. All right. Here we go. 20th. He's coming the 6th. Please tell me you have him in here. And, of course, they don't. All right. Position. All right. I'm on the search for this guy's name. Okay. Adam Balagu Ali from Palm Beach, Florida, 6'2", 215. 3-star composite on Sooners Illustrated, but he's a 4-star everywhere else. And I think he could be a big part of the linebacker class if you can close on him. I had a quick text exchange with Jaden O'Neal's dad. The throwing session he had went really well, according to his dad. Jaden did a lot of mobility drills to try and highlight the improvements he's trying to make, working outside the pocket. Yep. Most interesting was Arizona's offensive coordinator was there. That's an interesting school because Jaden's agent is an old Arizona quarterback, Ortez Jenkins, who played there in the early 2000s. So watch out for Arizona if OU continues to go this double QB route, which they appear to be dragging this thing all the way. Now, UGA should be getting Jared Curtis in a couple of days, which should eliminate them. Mike Bobo was at the throwing session. FSU's offensive coordinator, who I didn't bother to look up his name because fuck FSU. He was there. Jaden O'Neal could go to FSU and just continue torturing the poor Sperry kid. So I guess that's possible.
That would be funny.
Jaden's
going to be on my show tomorrow morning.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Good young man. Great young man. Hope it works out for him in OU. But, that's just Arbuckle's got to choose the guy he wants. And Bentley certainly does not appear to be a stiff. I'm very surprised neither Bentley or O'Neal has made the Elite 11 yet so far. So there's still spots left. So I'm a little surprised by that. But Jaden's a good kid. But I think Arizona, if UGA gets Jared Curtis, like I think they will, because looks like Oregon's trying to circle back with Ryder Lyons, who's another top 10 quarterback, but he has a mission issue. It's not an issue. He's going on a Mormon mission. So some schools, aren't quite – I'm not sure what his signing will really mean. Because when he comes back from his mission, he could just be in the portal, I guess. So if UGA gets Curtis, I think that eliminates a spot for O'Neal. I think UGA is the program that's impressed them the most so far, just because, Kirby Smart, has a pretty tight ship, other than the whole drag racing culture thing. But Seth Deggy, who is a West Coast, who's Arizona's OC. He is a established spread, throw the ball all around OC. So I think Arizona could be the biggest problem for OU if they somehow screw this thing up and lose Bentley and have O'Neal in the wind.
Should we have put Noah Fafita on our list?
He didn't have a great year last year.
They suck.
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, with McMillan gone, I'm not sure what he's got around him. But I can't say I've been keeping way up to date on Arizona football lately, though. So he's obviously talented, but I think they've lost they've lost a couple of linemen in the NFL. They lost McMillan. I'm just not sure how well they've reloaded. And obviously they lost their coach too, and I think that set them back greatly, losing Jed Fish. Jed Fish is doing good things up in Washington recruiting wise, and I'm sure it will collapse because it always does. But Lincoln Riley is convincing all the kids to go to Cali right now.
We'll see how long that takes to.
We've seen this story before, but maybe I don't know what kind of season they're poised for. Obviously, they've got the UNLV quarterback is going to be their starter, right? The guy who closed the year out for them that look pretty good. But I think schedule-wise, they're still going to have some problems traveling to DS and obviously now, they need a strength and conditioning coach. since Lincoln let Benny Wiley go for at a strange time of the year to let him go as well, to be honest.
So damn. I mean, just late as always. Just late.
That came down. Well, that came down though apparently from the new GM. Apparently he was.
Well, it's still a strange time to do it though, isn't it?
It was a weird time to do it. It should have been done a long time ago.
Kind of like with Andrew Luck, like bro, like what?
Well, Andrew Luck is all over Stanford's recruiting. It's kind of weird. He's fully engaged in that position, so that's an interesting move for them. But right now, if you listen to some of the other guys out there, they are painting kind of a doom and gloom about OU recruiting. So I'm not quite there yet. I think there's a half dozen guys OU could easily pick up that would vault their recruiting up. But I do think OU may snag 5 or 6 guys where we're like, who are these guys? And it's going to be because Nagy and BV have combined their evaluation skills to find 5 or 6 guys no one else in the nation is really valuing that much. A little bit of money ball, kind of situation. So we'll see how that works out. But it's OU hasn't had a verbal commitment forever, and they're not going to get one for another 30 days. So OU fans, Ryan Gilbert, the cornerback from Texas, Dallas area, Forney, is supposed to announce May 15th. OU should get him. But after that, it may be a little bit more of a drought until the official visits start landing and OU's preferred targets start announcing. So that's where we are. It's going to be an interesting May. See who drops off OU's board, who's added, and does OU pick up any random kids who are just ready to commit before official visits?
Biggest thing for me, got to get to June. Excited for June to kind of see.
Yeah, there's a lot of big names visiting. OU could pull out some upsets. Dryling's doing a much better job at linebacker recruiting than Alley. He's adding players. He's forming up. He's already got OU back in with Ja'Cory Smith. He just got this Balagon Alley guy coming back. He seems to be doing a much better job. Him and if they get the guys on campus, obviously the other guy from Clemson can help as well. So, but right now he can't. One last thing that someone mentioned to me, I can't give him credit for it because you told it because can't give him credit for it because no one will know what I'm talking about. So it's interesting that Nagy's hiring young guys for his staff. So it looks like I think Nagy is presuming that Joe C is going to get the analyst position to be able to go scout in person signed off relatively soon. Right? Young guys willing to travel, willing to go scout in person. That's what you want. That's what Nagy wants to do. He wants to be able to send his 4 or 5 staff out in the field, evaluate in person. Sooner Cowboys. This could, if things go badly. So this is the breakdown, right? If things go badly this fall, it's going to be a tiny class until the new coach is announced, and then they get a bunch of late ads. If OU's hitting hard, then watch, OU flip some guys that they're going to flip some guys. It's just the way it is. We're getting negatively recruited like a demon right now. Everyone's saying Brent's getting fired. If Brent posts a good season,
go win games, and it'll all change that up. But we either trust Nagy or we don't in his evaluations. I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think if we're worried about the damn recruiting rankings, then we're worried about the wrong thing.
I'm just talking about. I think Jason, there are 4 or 5 guys that Nagy probably approves of that we would target for flipping.
Yeah,
high profile guys. Sometimes the recruiting services are right? Sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes they're right. Like you can just watch some players and be like, yeah, okay, that's right. Steve G, I am not really an NBA fan. Sorry. I live in Atlanta. The NBA doesn't really work here, despite Trey's best efforts.
That's kind of a dumb recruiting pitch there, Benji.
See.
Okay.
They're not on the same page, everybody. That's what it is. That's the recruiting pitch.
I don't think that's okay. Yeah, I don't think that's how it's going to work.
Who was that going around? Somebody told some recruit that the coach of an opposing school was flying from Kansas.
What?
What?
Like,
Hey,
yeah,
say that again?
I heard that story that some kid said some recruit said that when he was recruited, they like the pitch against the school, the opposing school that wanted him really bad was that the coach was gonna die. Okay, I was like, that's insane.
That's a bad karma mojo, man. That's terrible.
Recruiting trail. Some of my friends, it's an
I heard
interesting.
some wild stories up on the recruiting trail over the years, but that was pretty high up there of crazy.
Yeah. But Coach Bill's new assistant, Jordan, apparently is approving all offers. So UNC poised for a big season.
Jason, what time is your show tomorrow?
We go off at 8:15. 8:15. We should have Jaden on around 9:15 Central Time. And Jaden should be on around 9:30.
Great.
People. Let's end it there. We've been on here for an hour, 21 minutes. Won't keep you guys any much longer, but like, subscribe, share, do all those different things. Horns Down Podcast, Hall of Fame College Football Podcast with Jason and the Coach, and Sooners 360. Look down below in the bio. You can find all our links. Interact with us on Twitter. Talk to us. All the rest of those different things. Show up at some games. We'll be there. Definitely trying to make it out there to the OU Texas game for sure. So Bebo, bodyguard, you may need a bodyguard if we find you. With that being said, folks, horns down as always. Boomer Sooner as always. We're out.